Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the impact of same race teachers for Black students. Clearly, I'm Black. All right. So I've had quite a few in elementary school, some in middle, not so many in high school. eh, But I've had a lot of Black teachers in elementary school to think about it. My grade one, grade two teachers were white, but third, fourth, no, third actually was white. Fourth and fifth were Black. And I come from a different country than here. I come from Jamaica. So early childhood, we're all Black. So probably like, probably daycare, kindergarten or so were Black teachers. But middle school, I think I had a handful. I had like two Black teachers here and there. But high school, not that many, not that many Black teachers. Well, somewhat, but not overall. Probably more in ninth grade than 10th to 12th. But I can say definitely Black teachers have made a difference, especially in higher education as well. For my doctorate, I had a lot of Black professors, and I, did seek them out as well because I wanted to get a varied perspective because there were a lot of white professors in my department. So I sought out different Black professors outside my department. But this definitely has, resonance. I guess that's the right word. I don't know. Um, this can resonate with a lot of people because teachers do matter. But how does a same race teacher for Black students matter? So I'm just going to, highlight some of the abstracts of some of these articles. These are going to be linked in the description box. I believe in research, clearly. A lot of this is a education research channel, so I'm always going to cite some research because I think research is important because a lot of times we focus a lot on anecdotes, superstitions, philosophy, tradition, right? But we need to look at research because researchers, academics are doing this. And nothing wrong with that, right? So if you're a parent, if you're a policymaker, if you're a teacher, principal, whoever, paraprofessional, a student, this is very important because teachers do matter. So this is an article from Chetty. Chetty, I'm going to batch, I'm going to definitely mess up a lot of teacher, professors' names and academics' names. So Chetty, Friedman, and Rockoff, they were measuring the impacts of teachers, teacher value added in student outcomes in adulthood. This is published in 2014. So are teachers' impacts on student test scores, those are value added, a good measure of their quality? This question has sparked debate, partly because of a lack of evidence on whether value added teachers improve students' long-term outcomes. So basically, they're just saying how high value added teachers are the ones that are having students get higher scores on test scores. So does that really matter? Does that have long-term outcomes, not just short-term? So using school district and tax records for more than 1 million children, we find that students assigned to high value added teachers are more likely to attend college, earn higher salaries, and are less likely to have children as teenagers. Wow. Replacing a teacher whose added is in the bottom 5% with an average teacher would increase the present value of students' lifetime income by approximately $250,000 per classroom. Wow. So I think teachers matter, right? I don't like definitely test scores to be used as this, but if you if students are getting better test scores, there are long-term effects, outcomes based on that. So I did a previous video on retaining teachers, and several different things. Please look at that video. They talked about having teachers who are certified, higher educated, work with poorer students, but then also teachers of color are more likely to stay in the profession of teaching if they taught kids who look like them and they have a different perspective about the education field. because of that, right? They have more purpose to serving their population or their racial, ethnic, cultural group. But there's many different things why, what we should do to retain teachers. But then if you have teachers who are same race teaching Black students who are getting better test scores, wow, so you can really add a great value. So actually, let's look at other research that particularly talks about Black teachers and their impact. So this is another article, Long Run Impacts of Same Race Teachers. So this is from Shinsun, Hart, Hyman, Lindsay, and Papa George. Papa George. All right. So this is from Tennessee. Leveraging the Tennessee Star class size experiment, we show that Black students randomly assigned to at least one Black teacher in grades K to 3 are 9% points, that's 13%, more likely to graduate from high school, and 6 percentage points, which is 19%, more likely to enroll in college compared to their Black schoolmates who are not. Black teachers have no significant long-run effects on white students. Post-secondary education results, well, I have some theories on that, but anyway, post-secondary education results are driven by two-year colleges and concentrated among disadvantaged males. North Carolina administrative data yields similar findings, and analysis of mechanisms suggests role model effects may be one potential channel. So North Carolina and Tennessee, so whole states are saying that having a same race teacher increases your likelihood of going to college, right? And having pretty much a long-term better outcome. Could be, right? Graduating high school and actually attending college. So when you think about recruiting Black teachers, this is one of the reasons, right? This is very, very important. This is another article, Teacher Race and Racial Disparities in Special Education. So let's think about this. This is from Rachel Elizabeth Fish, published in 2019. The U.S. teacher population is predominantly white, yet research has not yet determined how teacher race might matter to the identification of students with disabilities. This study examines the role of teacher racial composition in special education service receipt. Findings shows that schools' proportion of teachers of color, net of all other factors, is associated with students' increased odds of receiving special ed services for all categories of disability, with the exception of ED and ASD. These findings may reflect higher expectations of students held by teachers of color, which may lead to greater special education receipt for students who are not performing as well as expected. Although the efforts do not vary by student race for most categories of disability, the evidence presented here suggests that increased representations of teachers of color ameliorates some underrepresentations of students of color in SPED. So this actually says that if you do have students if you do have teachers of color in a school, they may seek out kids to having special ed services to get them the services they need. Is that a positive? Is that a negative? We can argue that. So this is another, so that is a way that, same race teachers impact Black students. So this is another article, Who Believes in Me? Who does believe in me? Okay. So this is by Shinsun, Halt, and Papa George. Who Believes in Me? The Effect of Student-Teacher Demographic Match on Teacher Expectations. Huge, right? This is definitely huge. There's a lot of research on teacher expectations. Teachers are an important source of information for traditionally disadvantaged students. However, little is known about how teachers form expectations and whether they are systematically biased. We investigate whether student-teacher demographic mismatch affects high school teachers' expectations for students' educational attainment. Using a student fixed effect strategy that exploits expectation data from 2 teachers per student, we find that non-Black teachers of Black students have significantly lower expectations than do Black teachers. These effects are larger for Black male students and math teachers. Our findings add to a growing literature on the role of limited information in perpetuating educational attainment gaps. So that says a lot, right? So um, non-Black teachers of Black students have lower expectations of these kids, right? So how does that affect children? You have stereotype threat, you have self-fulfilling prophecy, you have cultural hegemony, you have Pygmalion effect, right? So we have all these things that students could succumb to, internalized racism, right? Because of how teachers view them. So this could argue for a case for having more teachers of color, having more same race teachers for Black students. Are we recruiting Black teachers? Right? What are we doing to increase the amount of Black teachers out there? So this is huge, right? Having a Black teacher from K-3, you know, you can graduate college, right? You have a higher likelihood of doing that. Also, having a highly effective teacher where you are, passing tests, standardized tests, have strong feelings about standardized tests, you can make more money in the future. You can go to college. This has long-term effects. So we really need to think about this as policymakers, as people, if you want to become a teacher, you will have a great impact if you're Black, right, on Black students. So definitely think about that. So please like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell, because I will be recording videos every week about some type of topic on education research. All right, please come back. Bye.